Chapter 1 of New Adventures of Alice by John Ray. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Chapter 1 Found in the Attic.
But the provoking kitten only began on the other paw, and pretended it hadn't heard the question. Which do you think it was?
Mother closed the book, and Sister Betsy and Brother Billy both sighed.
"Oh dear, I wish there were more of it,"
said Betsy.
"Isn't there another book about Alice, Mother?"
It was the 5th or 6th time that Mother had read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking-Glass to them out of the fat red book, and every time they had reached the end, Betsy had asked this same question.
"I'm just as sorry as you are, dears, that there isn't,"
said Mother.
"But even if there were, we couldn't read any more tonight. It's your bedtime."
And sure enough, the old-fashioned hall clock had begun to buzz and grind and click, as it always did before striking the hour.
"As though it were chuckling wickedly to itself,"
Betsy thought. Betsy must have been thinking of Alice, and making up for herself more adventures, and wishing there were another book all the time she was getting undressed, and brushing her nice little white teeth. For when she said her prayers, she added,
"And please send me another book about Alice."
She had hardly got comfortably snuggled and settled into the pillow and kissed Mother and called,
"Good night,"
to Dick the canary, who answered with a sleepy little thrill, when she found herself up in the attic looking for things to dress up in. The bedclothes seemed to have turned into dusty old dresses and coats, which she was pulling over, looking for a little dress her mother had worn, when Mother herself was only 8 years old. She knew it was somewhere in the pile of things in the attic, and would be just what she wanted to dress the part of Alice in a little play which she and Brother and some of the other children were going to give, perhaps the next Saturday afternoon. Somehow or other the dresses and coats, as she handled them, became smaller and stiffer, and smaller still and flat, and pretty soon she realized that they weren't dresses and coats at all, but a pile of neat little books, none of which Betsy had ever seen before, and which seemed to come in a sort of set. They were called Wish They Were More books, or the sequel series, Oh, If I Only Had Them All on My Shelves.
"Now,"
said Betsy to herself,
"p'raps I'll find another Alice book."
and she took them up one by one with eager hands. There was more Robinson Crusoe, more Arabian Nights, more Grimm's Fairy Tales, more Wonder Clock Story, and oh, Dreams Come True! There was the book she had longed for, More Adventures of Alice. She turned the pages with trembling fingers, afraid that she might find that it was a cruel joke, but no, there were exactly the same kind of stiff little pictures of Alice that she had loved in the battered old red book, from which Mother had just been reading, Alice doing this or Alice doing that, and usually surrounded by strangely dressed people or creatures. With a sigh of complete contentment, she settled herself comfortably and cosily on a moth-eaten old buffalo robe in a corner nearest the half-moon attic window, and started to read. In her dream she seemed to change and become dear quaint little Alice herself, and be living and acting in the story, instead of simply reading it. What follows is what she read, and the pictures that follow are those that she looked at in that Wish There Were More book, for Betsy has often and often told me all about that wonderful dream of hers. End of Chapter 1.